Hi Emerce Next. My name is Boonstra. I'm a developer advocate at Google, specifically on conversational AI, so that means chatbot technology, speech technology, and also technology in contact centers. Today I'm gonna share with you the future of customer care and the technology that Google currently is developing to improve customer care, like contact centers or chatbots. So chatbots, they are actually expected to trim the business costs by more than 8 billion per year within the next couple of years. And if you ask me this, then it's probably not the case by just creating a simple chatbot on a website. No, it's like the whole experience by combining all these technologies all together. And specifically in contact centers. If we will look at the corona situation right now, we experience these situations where we have like hours of waiting times and waiting queues when you call a service number. Well, this should be all gone by now because there is technology that can help you to improve these experiences. When we talk about chatbots, and you might probably know this already, but when you create chatbots, when you use the Google technology, we're making use of machine learning. That's different than chatbots from the 90s, where developers, they would create chatbots with code, if then else. If your customers would talk to your chatbots and they would say things in a different way, or they spell the question wrong, then the chatbot wouldn't know what to answer. But with machine learning, that's not the case, because we're training the chatbot with certain training phrases and use cases, so that the chatbot always knows what to answer back. This is actually a major shift when we talk about chatbots, because in the past at Google we would develop applications mobile first, but nowadays we design our applications with an AI first strategy, which means that we learn from our data. And it's not only at Google, but also you can do that. And I will talk about this today, and I will share with you today how you can train your chatbots and your experiences to learn from your use cases. And it works based on machine learning. What is machine learning? Just very simply explained. Think about it when you were a kid and you learned your first language. I bet your parents did not hand you over a dictionary and you had to read it from A to Z, and at the last page, then suddenly you were a master in the Dutch language or English language. No, we learned through example. Like, that's a car, drives on the road, has 4 wheels. And that's a bike, it has 2 wheels and it rides on the road. If you as a kid would see many cars and many bikes, then you would distinguish one from the other. And that's the same with machine learning, or chatbots in our case, where we create a data model, or data scientists, they create a data model, and then we feed it with lots and lots of data. Once we have that data in the model, then the model will become smarter. And just like a kid, when I would say to my parents, hey, that's a car. And my parents might say no, Lee, that's not a car, that's actually a truck because it has 6 wheels or it's bigger. And then I would remember that over time. Same is for machine learning models. And when you feed it with data and the machine learning model predicts it wrong, then we can correct the model so it becomes smarter over time. And that's a huge benefit compared to traditional programming. And when we talk about chatbots, that's all about machine learning. That it's all about machine learning. Think about a Google Home, or the Google Nest is how the device nowadays is called. When you talk to the Google Nest, you would say the wake words, and it will start listening. And once it starts listening, you use your speech, and under the hood, it takes your speech and it will translate it to written text. That's a speech learning. That's a speech to text model. Then it will understand the written text. That's natural language understanding. The next step is that the chatbot technology will match the solutions with each other. Intent matching or intent classification. We try to understand the intent of your conversation, and then we speak it out to you. So that's basically text-to-speech models, like these speech synthesizers. And within Google, we have technology that can make it very natural. We do that with the WaveNet models. How do you build chatbots? Typically, it's not just a chatbot tool. No, it's like a whole suite or a combination of tools all combined together. And just like when you build a website, it's not just HTML, it's probably also a database or a CMS, and you need to host your server or your website somewhere. Same as with chatbots. You probably want to pick a channel or multiple channels. You might want to store data, so you might work with databases and collect analytics. You might want to use different other machine learning models to make your experience richer. So it's a whole suite of solutions. What you see here on this picture is actually a picture of the Lego store in New York, and it shows you when you step into the store, you see like this huge pole full with Lego blocks, and you can buy Lego bricks piece by piece, like different shapes, different colors. That's the same when we talk about chatbots within Google, or it happens actually within the Google Cloud. We have over 200 different components, and you can basically pick the components that you like and stack it on top of each other, just like Legos, to build a solution. And the main or the centerpiece in this architecture, that is Dialogflow. And Dialogflow is actually a suite for building conversational UIs. That can be chatbots, that can be voice AIs, that can be chatbots in contact centers, you name it. Dialogflow, you might know of it, you might have heard from it before. They were formerly known as API.ai. They're very famous in the chatbot community. We have over 1 million, I think 1.5 million almost, users, developers, and UX designers using this tool. And it's API.ai got acquired by Google in 2016, in September 2016. And now it's part of the Google Cloud, so businesses can make use of Dialogflow. You can also use the free version if that's what you like. What's so special about Dialogflow is that it makes use of machine learning. So that means like you can train your chatbots with training phrases, but you can also teach the chatbot what's wrong. And it does intent matching. So various machine learning models here. It's cross-platform, runs in a browser, but it also comes with the SDK, so developers can make use of it as well. And it has integration with voice, integration with 15 other channels out of the box, which is basically like flipping a switch and then you can make use of it. Or developers can use the SDK and integrate it in whatever they like. It has support over 20 languages, whether you use Spanish language or Dutch or French or English. It's all part of the NLU models. And I mentioned this already before, because Dialogflow is also available in the Google Cloud. It's available for enterprises, so that means it comes with the SLA, it comes with support, it's fully compliant, whether you need to be compliant to the GDPR. You can use Dialogflow for this. It comes with user roles, permissions, and extensive logging and a higher call quota. So especially if you're an enterprise, this might be interesting for you. Let me show you how Dialogflow works. Dialogflow works based on intent matching. This means that you as a UX designer can specify certain flows, like certain parts of conversations, and we train Dialogflow based on those conversation parts. Now, if the user says something or types a question in the chatbot, it will look through all the intents to see which one has the highest match. That match, that will return the answer. So here what you see on my screen is a list of all the intents that I have created. And an intent could be, for example, in my case, I created a chatbot for banks or finance sectors. And in this example, I would like to transfer money. Transferring money is a part of a conversation. I can ask it in various different ways. So I specify training phrases. Like, can I send money to Russia? I would like to transfer money. I would like to give €14.50 to bank account 0123456789 in Germany. There are all different ways in how I can say the same thing. Why are certain words marked? Well, these are actually entities, custom entities. And that means like what I pass in is variable. So it's a parameter that will send later to a backend, for example. And whether I say Russia or Germany or Spain, it doesn't matter. It noticed that Russia is a system entity. These are like countries or the names of a month or days in a week. Those are variables that Dialogflow already is aware of. So it will mark that. But I can also create my own entities. I do that in the entities screen. I will show you that later. So in your intent, you create training phrases to train your intent. You can also specify an answer. In my example, I hard-coded the answers, but in a real banking application, that's probably not the case because Dialogflow is not transferring money. No, you as a bank will do that. So you will connect to a backend system and the backend system follows up. If that's the case, then you need to select fulfillment and you enable a webhook. These are all the parameters that will be used and sent to the backend. So in my case, an account number, which is what I need for transferring money, a destination and an amount. I mentioned entities before. Entities are objects where you can take action on. So for example, a payment category. A payment category could be I can transfer money for flights, for groceries, for mortgage. I can take actions on that. These are actually parameters or key value pairs. And I can define synonyms because I can say things in a different way. I could say I want to transfer money for a restaurant, or I want to transfer money for a dinner or a lunch, and it will classify it as a restaurant. The fulfillment, this is when you want to connect it to your own backend system. In my example, I don't do this, but if I'm interested in doing so, I can enable the webhook and specify the URL of my own web services. It's also possible to use the inline editor, and I can use JavaScript to write a cloud function and to execute some code based on my chatbot conversations. Then you can integrate your chatbot with various channels. We have out of the box a whole bunch of channels that you can use. For example, the Google Assistant. This is a very interesting one, a very easy one, because you only need to click on the pop-up and run test. And since it's connected to your Google account, it will automatically deploy your test app to the Google Assistant simulator, and you can try it with a test account. We have integrations for telephony partners. These are one-click telephony partners. So, for example, if you want to have an integration with Avaya, you just need to click on it and follow the wizard. Or there is a Dialogflow default gateway. It gives you a telephone number, and you can call that number, and then you get the chatbot on the other end of the line. We have integrations with Genesis out of the box, also through Contact Center AI. You can make use of all the other telephony partners. You can make text-based chatbots, for example, for web. We have two example web integrations. One is a pop-up, a simple pop-up. The other one is a more advanced pop-up. It's new and in beta. It allows you to change the styling or create some custom cards. You can also make use of the SDK. This is what I did, and I will show you that in my later examples today, where I use the SDK to integrate it in my own website or app. We have channels for Facebook Messenger, Hangouts, Slack, Twitter, you name it. And if the integration that you need is not in here, that's not a big deal, and you can implement it through the SDK. But of course, you need a developer for that. All right, let's talk a little bit more about cross-channel development for chatbots in Dialogflow. The most common use case for building chatbots, that's probably for web or social media. These can be like external chatbots for external public facing, but it can also be internal, when you're like a big enterprise company and you want your chatbots to be available only within your domain. Yeah, you can do that. This is common. And you can use these chatbots for internal experiences or internal processes. You can use it for external chatbots talking to your customers. You can use it on social media. These are the chatbots you probably know. There's another use case, and these are the voice assistants. If you have built chatbots for the Google Assistant before, then you know what I'm talking about. We can create chatbots for smart speakers like the Google Assistant, like Alexa, even IoT or your own devices. Yeah, you can build that because with Dialogflow we handle voice integration. And just a few notes about the Google Assistant, just if this sounds all new to you. The Google Assistant, that is the AI from Google, just like Siri is for Apple and Alexa is for Amazon. An action, that is basically an app that you can deploy on top of the Google Assistant. So to bring your own brand to the Google Assistant network. The Google Nest Mini, or the Google Home, what was the old name? That is basically like a device, a smart speaker with a microphone and a speaker connected to the internet, powered by the Google Assistant, so with the Google Assistant AI in it. You can ask the Google Assistant for certain questions. You can ask the Google Assistant, for example, to manage tasks, like, for example, like what is my confirmation number for my flight? You can ask the Google Assistant to plan your day, like how is my commute to the office? You can ask general questions to the Google Assistant. For example, I could ask, who is the king of the Netherlands? And then the Google Assistant will tell me, well, that's Willem-Alexander. Then I can ask a follow-up question. I could ask like, okay, well, and who is his wife? And the Google Assistant will understand the context. The context here is King Willem-Alexander. So who is the wife of King Willem-Alexander? Well, that's Maxima. You can use the Google Assistant to control your home. For example, you can ask the Google like, hey, turn off the lights, turn on the TV, make the temperature warmer in the house. If you connect the Google Assistant to all your smart devices, your smart home devices, then you can arrange that all in your house. And entertainment, like you probably have done this before, like play this song on Spotify. Play this song on Spotify, or play this song on YouTube. Play this video on YouTube, play this video on Netflix. The last category that I would like to talk about, these are the callbots. These are the robots in the contact center. Now you might think like, oh well, isn't that the same as the Google Assistant? But then just when you call a number, you get the Google Assistant on the phone. No, it's way different. It's much more different actually, because if you think about it, the Google Assistant, that's actually quite simple types of questions that you ask. It's like a question with one utterance. For example, turn off the lights. Where if you think of a phone call, when you do a phone call, then people start having like whole conversations to you. Like, yeah, yesterday I forgot to pay my bills, and then my husband told me that I could wait 2 more days, but I'm not sure. And then yesterday I was actually ill, so I forgot about that too. And now I'm calling, so when can I pay? I'm mentioning like all kinds of questions now here, right? Like it's for a human sometimes difficult to figure out like what's the real intent. Now imagine how that is for a computer. What is the real intent? So these are long utterances. There are many possible intent matches. It's quite difficult for a machine to figure out like what question do I need to answer. There is actually another solution for conversational AIs. And these are the chatbots in advertising. Think about it like when you have like a media solution, like you go to a media website, like an online newspaper, and you always see on the side, on the right bar, you see like advertising space. And typically these are like images or animated banners. But we can use those advertising spaces by showing chatbots. Now imagine like what an impact that can have, because typically when you have a chatbot on a website, people need to visit to your brand first. They need to know your website URL. But when you show a chatbot in advertising, then they can talk to your chatbot on somebody else's website. That's amazing how many people how many visitors now can interact with your brand. The technology how we can do this is called AdLingo. It's actually a startup founded by a Googler, and they're part of the Google incubator program. So that means that it's funded by Google. And they have their own team working on this product. It works together with Dialogflow. So you build your chatbot and they can create these advertisings for you. How does that work? Let's have a look into this video. Right, so you have seen how chatbots work in advertising, and I've mentioned chatbots for social media, web and voice assistants. But now let's talk a little bit more in depth about chatbots in contact centers. At Google we have a solution called Contact Center AI. That's technology to automate phone conversations and to create a better user experience. Why is this interesting? Now think about the last time when you called a contact center. I bet that experience wasn't really great. It's just how it is. I think 99% of these times that you call a service number are like that. Like there are long waiting lines, especially now with the corona crisis. Unlimited call transfers. That you, for example, say like, well, my internet is not working. Oh, one moment please, we will connect you to the technical department. And I have to rephrase the whole question again. IVRs that are difficult to navigate. For example, you get to hear like, well, press number 9 for XYZ department. So you have to wait the whole tape recording till you are at number 9. Availability. How many times did I call to a service number after 5 o'clock and it tells me like, well, actually we're closed. Okay. Inadequate information. This happens a lot, and I can tell you, I see this a lot happening at health insurance companies at the end of the year, because at the end of the year they have too many people calling the insurance to change their insurance. So what they do is they hire lots of students to pick up the phone. Yeah, and they obviously aren't properly trained, so they might give the wrong answer. And the thing is, like all these agents, they always have to give answers to the same types of questions. So when you're an insurance company, I bet that 8 of the 10 cases are people that are asked like, oh, am I insured for this? And what about that? Is that also insured? Like if you only could automate one type of these questions, yeah, that would create already a much better experience, of course. And customers, they expect a great and flexible personal experience. 60% of the customers expect self-service, and 64% of the users, they want it in real time. And 75% of the users prefer personal contact, but that does not necessarily mean that it's a chatbot. When the chatbot creates like a personal experience, and it's okay. Now, what do we have at Google? We have a solution. It's called Contact Center AI. It's part of Dialogflow. It uses machine learning, or AI, to make an experience of a service number better. And to show you how this works, I'm going to show you now a video of Contact Center AI. It's an out-of-the-box solution that we deliver together with telephony partners such as Cisco, Avaya, or Genesys, and many others. And we can enable that out of the box for you in your contact center. And then you only need to deliver training phrases in Dialogflow so that the chatbot recognizes what's happening here.
Let's show you Hulu's vision for scaling engaging experiences for their more than 25 million subscribers through the eyes of Lauren, a Hulu viewer. Hulu makes it easy for their viewers to get help anytime, anywhere. Instead of customers having to navigate a lengthy phone tree, a Hulu bot, powered by Google Cloud's virtual agent technology, can immediately engage viewers in a human-like conversational experience, help resolve issues 24/7, and seamlessly hand off the call to a human agent at the right time.
Hi Lauren, thanks for calling Hulu. How can I help you today?
Hi. I want to add the NBA package to my plan.
Sure thing. Looks like you've been watching on a Chromecast Ultra. Is this the device you'd be watching the game on?
Yep.
Perfect, I'd recommend our Hulu Plus Live TV plan. If you'd like, I can transfer you to one of our viewer experience advocates to get that set up.
That would be great. Thanks.
The human agent now has everything they need in the Salesforce Service Cloud console, including the full call transcript to expedite case resolution. Meanwhile, Google's Agent Assist technology automatically presents machine learning-driven recommendations, making it easy for agents to know what viewers need and get answers fast.
Hey Lauren, thanks for calling Hulu. It looks like you'd like to add the Hulu Live TV plan to get access to all of the basketball games. I'd be happy to help you out there.
That would be great.
Perfect. I'll update your plan to add Live TV.
As the call progresses, Agent Assist continues to surface new recommendations based on the context of the conversation.
Did you know that you could also watch Hulu Live TV on mobile devices? Would you like me to help you set that up?
Sure, I'd like that.
Great. I'll send over an article that will walk you through the steps for future devices as well.
Agents can even add more value to every conversation with the intent matching capability from Google Cloud Dialogflow and Salesforce Einstein to serve up the real-time recommendations and offers to keep viewers engaged and happy.
What else have you been watching recently besides basketball?
My husband and I have actually been binge-watching Game of Thrones. We want to get ready for the final season.
Awesome! Did you know that if you add HBO through your Hulu plan, you can watch directly in the Hulu app? If you'd like, I can add HBO to your plan as well.
Yes, let's do it.
Agents are guided step-by-step through any business process. No memorization of what to do next required. The combined power of Google Cloud AI and Salesforce Einstein also makes call wrap-up easy with pre-populated case details, improving data quality and saving agents time as they move on to helping the next viewer. With Google Cloud and Salesforce, Hulu can now integrate AI into every service interaction and reimagine the viewer experience.
As you have seen in the video, we have seen chatbots that can understand your question. So no longer you need to listen to an IVR recording or you need to be put on hold or in waiting lines. No, you immediately call the service number and you phrase your question and the chatbot will help you. This will shorten your call time, this will shorten your hold time, and it means that it's 24/7 available. And what can happen is that the chatbot does not know how to answer your question because it wasn't trained that way. Now what you could do is the chatbot could hand over your call to an employee, but then the chatbot still listens in and gives the employee suggestions on the screen what to answer. So therefore the employee always gives the right answer. It can shorten the hold time and it can shorten the call time. Now you're probably curious, how does this work, the contact center solution? Well, it starts with a telephony IVR system. That can be a Cisco or an Avaya or a Genesys. Probably you already have a contract with an IVR provider and you just need to ask them like, hey, please, can you enable this solution for us? Then it needs to understand speech. We will use speech-to-text technology for this. It takes the spoken voice and it transcribes it to written text. It's much more complicated than that because, we work with an IVR provider. So, for example, to also provide solutions like barge-in, where users can interrupt each other, or we can do silence detection. Imagine that some people, they pause in their sentences. How can we detect that it's actually the end of the question versus just a regular pause in a sentence? DTMF tone recognition. This is, for example, when you want the user to give in a high number and you want them to type it in on their telephone keypad instead of speaking it out. We have asynchronous fulfillment. Now imagine that you connect to your database and your database is slow. What you don't want is that the interaction and the conversation stops, but in fact that it just loads those documents in the background and then gives it back to you once the data is downloaded. Or TTS pre-recording. That means that you can enable static prompts to be interleaved with speech-to-text. Then we use the virtual agent. The technology is called Dialogflow to detect the intent and to match what was the question, to match that with an answer and to speak it out. That's part of Dialogflow. And as you know by now, Dialogflow is a very popular tool. And you probably are already using this for your web chatbots. And now you can just integrate it also in your contact center. You can use actually the same agent in your contact center. You just need to make sure that you branch out the voice channel to make it more optimal for voice. Then we speak out the results. So we use the synthesizer, and in this case we were making use of WaveNet models so that the conversation sounds very naturally. There are actually 3 generations of speech technology. And we have the standard speech technology, which is probably like the more robotic voices. Then we have the WaveNet models. These are now common in the Google Assistant. They sound very human-like, but it's a machine learning model. So based on written text, we can synthesize that voice. And we're now working on the 3rd generation, which is called Tacotron 2. And that technology sounds as natural as WaveNet models, but it can be with a custom voice. So imagine that you have a voice of your brand, maybe a commercial voice, and you want that voice to pick up your phone at the contact center. You as a customer just need to record a certain script. So we train the machine learning model with your custom voice, and then you can deploy that in your contact center. Very cool. And then lastly, we have the solutions like the transcripts, the agent modeling to figure out like what are the most discussed topics, and providing the suggestions in real time or filling in forms. All right, so conclusion for today. Wouldn't it be nice to build one AI solution that can answer all types of questions and it's available from everywhere? Something like this. It doesn't matter anymore if you talk to the chatbot via a Google Assistant, via the telephone, or via a website or social media. It all goes through Dialogflow, and then you can branch it out to the Google Assistant that it reads it out for you, or it shows it on a website, or suggestions for a contact center employee. And if you power this all by a data lake, a data warehouse, then you can learn from it and make your experiences much smarter. But even if you just add one new channel to your infrastructure of chatbots, you can already improve your customer experience and trim your business cost. Thank you very much.